Hello boys and girls, my name is Jonas and I welcome you to my new Ring Menu Construction Kit 2.0 Definitive Edition demo video. After 5 years I've finally decided to do one last big update in which I want to just clean up some things that had been bugging me during the last years, and so I reworked quite a lot. Not so much on the outside actually, lots of rework were done under the hood, but quite a few things can be seen as well and will hopefully make your life easier. So firstly, the setup of the ring menu is now way easier than before. You can inherit ring menus from the parent menu, for example. You can set them up directly in the properties and you do not have to use blueprints for everything. Second thing is that the 3D menu is now working properly. It had some problems before, also reported by you guys, and it has now a new control schemes and also more reliable controls. Also, we have now proper controller support, and I've also set up some smaller things and fixed a lot of bugs in the process. And last but not least, I have set up a new example map that you can see here. And this map is exactly why I want to show you the new example menus that I have set up for you, and then we can also have a look into how they are actually set up for you to see how the new menu structure is working. Firstly, if we look at the structure here, we can see two areas that are actually interesting, two folders. The first one is the menu essentials, where you can find everything that is obviously essential to the menu. And these widgets here are the most interesting ones. The most essential one is the base menu, of course, and then we also have a base button and a base info box for the box in the middle where you get the text and the images in the center of the menu. So you can derive childs from each of them, and then you can build your own menus on top of it. Although if you know that you only need one menu in your whole game, then you could also just go ahead and change the base menu type. Just the one thing that I can't recommend is to duplicate these ones here, because then they will not work, because the button and the menu have like pointers which point towards each other, and if you duplicate them they have a several name, separate ID and stuff like that, so they won't work anymore. But in the second relevant folder here, which is called examples, I have already set up some child menus for you, which you can either use as an inspiration or directly copy them over and tweak them to your liking. So let's click on play and get started. Okay, so as can be seen here, I have set up 5 different demo menus for this demo map, each showing different combinations of settings to make you see what can be done with the ring menu construction kit. The first one is what I call the most basic menu, or maybe most well used. It's kind of a weapon selection, and it closes as soon as you click on something, which is called the point and click controls. As you can see here, I can hover over them. I have a ring menu cursor in the background, and if I click something, it closes. So first, menu type. Let's see how it is set up. As you can see here, we have all the menus that are shown in the demo map, and the first one is the weapons menu here, 2D weapons. Let's open that one up and have a look. So that's opened up. What you need to do now is click on graph and then click on the class defaults. And if you do that, you can basically set up everything you want here in the right menu. And let me warn you, this is really a lot of customization here. Don't get intimidated by this. I'll show you the most important and most interesting options. So maybe let's first dive into general, because what you do here are the most general settings for your menu that you could find. First thing would be the buttons. So you can set up the buttons right inside the menu, or you could get them from the outside, but for this example I've set them up right here. So as we expand this, you can see that I have several, an array consisting of my menu info structure, which contains things like ID, a slot if we want to manually arrange them. We have a name and a text which would show up on the button, a description for the info box in the middle, and images and so on and so forth for each button here. As you can see, the pistol and the machine gun here, and so on and so forth. So what else can you do here? You can set up your menu button, which would in this case be our weapons button, and we can set up our info box, and then we have the option to either arrange the slots dynamically or arrange them manually. When we set them to dynamic, just imagine the whole cursor, just imagine the whole ring being divided by the number of slots that you have in your array, and then being distributed equally around the whole menu. If you set it to manual, it will actually divide by the number of slots that you set here, and then it will set each item to the slot that you give them in this variable here. So what else do we have? Pretty straightforward. Ring radius, button size. It closes on confirm. That means it closes when you click the button, and it does not remove the items. This is also possible. We will see that in the next menu. And you could also do like a slow motion if you wanted that. All right, so what else do we have? What is also interesting? Maybe let's have a look at the general controls here, because this one determines the control type, like the way the user can control your menu. What we just saw is point and click. We would also have like a drag control, drag and release, which we will see in the second menu, and we have them with a hold option. That means you need to click and hold your button or key, and as soon as you release, the item will be selected that is currently highlighted. And then we have another new control option here, which is called point only. We'll see that later on. You can deactivate or activate for each control scheme. You can say if you want gamepad controls, mouse wheel, or keyboard control. Then we have actually several like specific control categories here. These control categories here give you the opportunity to set up the actual key bindings, as well as if you want to use, for example, here you want to use a custom mouse cursor. I have created one for you, but you can change that easily, and you can decide whether you want to show the ring cursor or not. This is the one that we saw in the background. Same thing for gamepad. In gamepad, you also additionally you set the analog threshold. That means how far do you need to push your stick forward for the menu to actually react to that. And in this case, you need to push it for more than 50%. You can also choose whether you want to use left or right stick, and then you can set up all the controls that you want the user to be able to use, and of course the cursor again. Same thing goes for keyboard controls here. And now, as I already mentioned, the ring cursor, let's have a look at that one as well. As you can see here, this is the animated material that had been shown in the background. You can set that up here as a brush, and you can also scale it to match the size of your menu, and you can also choose a relative offset, which is measured from the menu center, and will start at 0 at the center of the menu up to 1 where the buttons are. So basically the ring menu radius. So if you want to have an offset, you can either go smaller or larger here with your cursor. You can also set up if you want the cursor image to rotate along with your menu, or if you want to like have it snap to the buttons. For example, if I would remove the two and play again, just for you to see how that looks. As you can see now, the cursor is not longer snapping, and it is also not rotating with the circle. So that makes sense here, but it might not make sense in other contexts. All right, yeah, and then maybe positioning and layout just very quickly, very briefly. Our menu is now fixed at the screen center because it's set to fixed, and it has the 0.5 values for measuring from the upper left corner to make sure it is appearing in the middle. But you could also set it to fixed actor. Then you could use this actor reference here to pick it, pick an actor directly from your scene. Oops. But you could also go ahead and say, I want to set this up during runtime on the go. Then you would use the set sticky actor function here. So that is also possible. And then in that case, the screen position is not longer an absolute value, but it will actually be an offset from your actor that is the menu is set to. Then you have also the opportunity to set it to mouse position, for example, and in that case, obviously the menu pops up wherever your mouse is at that moment, and then also the screen position is the offset for that. All right, maybe that's enough for now. Let's have a look at the second menu and see what changes. So the second one is called Auto Range menu, and this is more like an inventory type menu with the click and drag controls. The buttons are automatically arranged this time, and it will stay open but remove the items when I click on one. As you can see now, it's placed in the lower left corner. It's still fixed, but the screen offset is a little different here. And if I hold my left mouse button now and I drag, you can see that I have the option to choose my menu item here. So I can now release, and as you can see, the item is removed, but it is not closed, the menu. I can click right mouse button now to actually close it. So quick look into how that looks. This is the inventory menu, which we can find here. Quickly open that up, go onto graph and then class defaults, and just have a very brief look here. As you can see, we have now different buttons set up for our menu, the potion style, icons here, our bomb, and then the settings here are different. As you can see, the slots are arranged dynamically, which is also very nicely shown. When you click on one of the objects, it is removed and the other ones spread up evenly through the menu. So in this case, the number of slots here is completely disregarded, so you can completely forget about that one. The menu doesn't close and confirm, and it does remove the icons, the items when clicked. So that is the main difference here. Also quickly to have a look at the general controls here. As you can see, I've now set it to drag and release, because you need to drag, like click, drag onto an icon and then release to set it, to select it. Here's the different mouse position, and also maybe interesting, you have the ring cursor, which looks now completely different. It is this small white triangle, and I have used the ring cursor relative offset here to make sure that it appears at the outside of my white background, to make it look like it is part of the white background. In this case it rotates, but it doesn't snap, so that's also different. All right, let's have a look at the third menu. The third menu is called a 4-directional menu. It is kind of a special control scheme here. As you can see, it pops up as soon as I enter the area, and I can still play, so it's like non-disruptive. If I want to use it, I actually need to use the D-pad on my gamepad or the keyboard buttons to set an item in the menu. For example, if I press the arrow keys here, as you can see, something gets selected and it's directly activated, but it doesn't disturb me. I don't need to open and close the menu. It's just basically like for example, like a choice of arrows or bullets, or maybe if you've played the Metroid Prime series, this is how the weapons are chosen there. I can also now like fire and imagine there are different bullets now. The only there's one issue, sometimes it loses focus when you click a lot of keys. As you can see now, I've now fired a few bullets, and now I click left and right and up and down, and it doesn't react anymore. But there is a workaround which I'll show you in a second. As you can see now, I can set up my menu items again. So how does that look like? This one is called Ring Menu Spells. If we open that one up, go to Graph and Class Defaults, we can see that the mouse is not used in this case. The keyboard is partly used, but only the direction keys or buttons. And as you can see here, we have 4 buttons set, and this is all geared towards a very special type. As you can see here as well, the keyboard controls is actually only up, down, left, right. And we have chosen the point only menu, which means I only point at one of the items and it is already activated. We also have, for this reason, we have the keyboard control, but we have the special 4-directional control activated here to make sure that this works as special and a tailored control scheme. I've also promised you to show how to reset the focus, and to do that you quickly need to open up the player controller, which you can find here. And if you open up the player controller, you can see I have set up, or like done the setups for the different menus here. So you can have a look in this one as well. But at the lower right corner, you can find this debug functionality here, which you can basically apply to everywhere where your player will lose focus. For example, if specific buttons are pressed and the keyboard focus gets lost, you can just reset it via this very easy combination, use a ring menu and give it the keyboard focus. All right, so yeah, fourth menu type is our number input menu. The number input menu is also an interesting menu where I use the basics of the first menu but extended them a little bit, and I can use a gamepad, mouse or keyboard to control it, and we have the 10 digits here to select from. So just basically imagine dialing a number or having like a keypad style code input or something. I can now hover with my mouse, or I could also use the mouse wheel, as you can see here, or the arrow keys to set up and enter a code, which is then directly written into my additional widget in the lower right corner here. The menu closes either when I have entered four digits, or if I click on confirm in the center here. So how is that done? That is basically done. Where do we have it? It's called Ring Menu Broadway, and this is done via the point and click control scheme, but we additionally have a this is the background, as you can see, and we also have a center button here. So this center button is our confirm text, where we can click to make sure that the user can actually confirm their choice. So this one has an extra menu button info here, and it also has like a separate size, and you can also set a separate button widget here if you want, because I would imagine that your button, like your center button, might look different than the regular buttons. So we also have like a ring cursor here, as you saw probably, which just simulates the lights of our like vintage Broadway menu background to light up and to flash. Alright, so that's basically the most important things. I will create a second video to show you how one of these menus is set up from scratch, and I will probably go with this Broadway menu and set this up together with you guys. And then afterwards we also transfer it to a 3D to be a 3D menu. And this is what brings us to the last but not least, to our fifth menu type, which is a holographic 3D menu. This can also be used via all the control schemes. You can use mouse, keyboard or gamepad, but you need to set up some additional logic for that. We'll also cover that in the other video, but just to show it to you quickly, this is how it looks like. I've set up a special camera. You have your mouse cursor again, and you can select your weapon, or you could use the mouse wheel as well as the arrow keys. All right, so this is a little more complex. As you can see here, we have a 3D menu, and just to quickly show you what is really important here, there's one thing that you need to do, and this is tell the menu that it's going to be a 3D widget by setting this check mark here. All right, I think this concludes our first look into my new Ring Menu Construction Kit 2.0. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and see you next time.